It is now 6 o'clock, January 19th, 2023, and I will call this Lacey City Council meeting to order. For all those who can, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. And we will start moving through our agenda. And the first item on our agenda is approval of agenda and consent agenda items. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda as published.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is, it is a pretty hot mic. The next item on our agenda is public recognitions and presentations. And we will start with our Public Service Award. This award is for Distinguished Public Service in the Capital Area Region Public Facilities District, the PFD, City of Lacey representative. And this award goes to Dennis Reed. Is Mr. Reed here with us? Good. Please come to the podium. Okay, so thank you. First of all, thank you for making it here tonight. And the City of Lacey would like to present you with this Distinguished Public Service Award for your service time here with the city and your service time with the PFD. Right. We're going to take a quick picture.
Okay.
And
there we go.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. If I could lay down for just a second. Yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry I haven't met you before. I was thinking that maybe Andy Ryder would be here, since we know him personally and so forth. But I want to thank you, Deputy Mayor, and the City Council for the recognition of my 25 years representing the City of Lacey. It has been my pleasure to be your representative. I remember cutting wood for my wood-burning stove out on the area where it's called the Rack now, when there was a little house out there and so forth, and we could go in there and cut wood, and that's when somebody else was trying to take over that property that the Lacey City took over and has built that. I remember meeting two lovely ladies. Both of them had lived on that property. Both of them had been born there and lived there their entire life until the property was sold. And they were there for the ceremonies when we did the induction out there and so forth when they opened that place. I have attended the activities there at the PF because the Mushroom Fest has been a really good kind of thing. They've had the Easter egg hunts and all that sort of thing. My son played baseball there. He also went down to the county commissioners and testified about having baseball fields and football fields and soccer fields in this area when there were none to be had, so he could even play baseball when he was out of high school. Ken Parsons and I don't know if Ken's here or not, we're the only two members still on the committee, the original committee, and it's come and gone and so forth, and a lot of new people, and I hope that you can find somebody else to take my place and so forth. I want to wish the current president, Nancy Clausen, for the PFD. She was a deputy mayor here and a mayor, and I want to thank her and hope that things go right with her and the remaining board members and keep up the traditions and the usefulness of both the regional compound and the Hands-On Children Museum, which we're also sponsor on. And lastly, my other family here, the Lacey Lions Club. This is kind of a bitter thing, you know. A Lacey Lions Club member, my wife Dorothy, of course, and to the police chief. Your couple of your soldiers showed up today at my place when I had an unauthorized alarm went off, and they showed up right on time, and I thank you, sir, and for their pleasure. And they were right on time, and we finally got it taken care of, and we don't know what happened and why. But I have enjoyed the ride. And as they say, I bid you a fond farewell. And Lacey City Council, I'm sorry I had a tear in my eye because I really did enjoy this. And thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for your 25 years of service for the RAC, the Children's Hands-On Museum. We certainly appreciate all that you've done for the city.
It's definitely a go-to place.
It is. It is a regional draw, and we are trying to make it even better. Our next presentation is another Public Service Award, and this award is a Distinguished Public Service Award, again, for Capital Area Regional Public Facilities District. And this award will be awarded to an individual who spends more time working in the Tumwater area, but I will defer and hand this over to the mayor of Tumwater, who is present with us here tonight, Ms. Debbie Sullivan.
So Trent, are you here? There you are. Oh, you're good. So Trent Grantham, thank you so much for representing Tumwater. We really appreciate it. And that you continue to represent Tumwater on our tree board, which we really, really appreciate. I think I just recently reinstated you on the tree board. So we really appreciate your contribution to the community and to all of Thurston County in general. So I want to present this to you. And I thank Lacey for recognizing you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the City Council for allowing me to serve, and of course the nomination from the Tumwater Council. And it's the Capital Area Recreation Public Facilities District is great. The Hands-on Children Museum by far is one of the best places to take a kid in Washington, if not anywhere else. And the RAC is an amazing sports facility, and I hope that it just continues to climb and be a great draw for Lacey. So thank you.
I'm so happy that we can recognize the people who've spent so much time and effort in making our public facilities as great as they are. You know, we, as a region, we probably have more parks per square mile than most counties have. In Lacey alone, I think we have some in 28, or is it 29?
It's just under 1,200 acres.
Just under 1,200 acres worth of parks and recreations for everyone to enjoy, and the time of the amount of time, effort, and resources that go into developing those and maintaining those, we are happy to do, and we hope that you get out and get to use a lot of those facilities that so many people work so hard for. Our next award is our Director's Award of Excellence for College Street and Yelm Highway Super T Pavement Rehab Project. And so our city roads and city streets have probably one of the highest indexes in the region. There is actually an index that we use to measure the health of city streets. And we have met standards, surpassed standard, and have some of the best roads in the state. And here to present is Aubrey Collier, who is our city engineer. And we will have a quick presentation with Ms. Collier.
Good evening, Council. So I'm here tonight to give you a brief presentation on this project that was completed. So before some of you, I think, were here. Let's see. So this project, it was called, we nicknamed it the Super T because of the shape there. It was a project that went from College Street between 37th and Yelm Highway, and Yelm Highway from the city boundaries to Ruddle Road. And so this project included a grind and overlay of almost 12 lane miles. So, lane mile is a single lane width. It included sidewalk and ADA improvements. It had included 4 new medians with landscaping in them. We completed this construction in the fall of 2019. So the overall project cost was just under $5 million, most of that being the construction contract. And of that, we received a federal grant for $3.2 million to cover the majority of that work. The other $1.6 million of that came from our Transportation Benefit District fund. We had some great contractors working on this project, Active Construction and Lakeside Industries. They did a great job out there keeping on schedule and on budget. Here's some photos during construction showing the grind and the overlay work. And then some photos of some of the new sidewalk improvements, the median, and some of the new striping that went in. I also just wanted to take a quick second to recognize our engineering team. This isn't all of them, but we have a lot of people that go into making a project successful, and a lot of times they're just in the background and they don't get a lot of credit for the work they do. So. This is our design and construction team that works on a lot of our in-house design projects. So we have Brian Patron, Justin Knox, that did the design for this project, and Kevin Inman, Kevin Cools, and Dave Weisenflew, who is the main inspector on this project, and then our design and construction manager, Ashley Smith, who also helped out on this project with all the federal documentation requirements. So. They put in a lot of hard work, and the project came out really successful in the end. So tonight, we have our partners here from Washington State Department of Transportation to present the Director's Award of Excellence for this project. So I would now like them to come up. So we have John Dry, who is the Director of Local Programs, and John Ho, who's also in the WSDOT program, and Minnie Robertson, which is the Assistant Division Administrator for FHWA.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. Appreciate you giving us some time on your busy schedule this evening, obviously. And the city, we thank you for a wonderful project, too. Obviously, a very nice project. So I'm Jay Dry. I'm with the Local Programs Division for the Washington State DOT, and we work very closely with our partners on the federal side with the Federal Highway Administration as well. But local programs, we have, at any point in time, we have over 1,200 active projects throughout the state of Washington. And that's reflective of over 400 agencies that are working on projects throughout the state. So it's a big program, lots of projects going on. You can tell it takes a lot of different partners in order to turn these projects into reality. And any given year, there can be as many as 200 projects that would potentially be eligible for consideration for this award. And each year, we work closely with FHWA to determine which projects would rise up for consideration. And so we're very excited that this project rose up. A great project as far as preservation. We're always talking about the state of good repairs. We like to look at the big glamorous projects that add things and build the nice new things, but we need to remember to take care of the infrastructure that we have out there today too. So it's important that we preserve what we have, and this project demonstrates that, along with some very much needed accessibility improvements as well that are brought along with us. So, and like it was said earlier, we also have the distinguished honor of having Minnie Robertson from the Federal Highway Administration with us this evening, and John Ho from our region local programs team as well. So I might let Mindy say a word. We do have our poster, which can be shared and put up so that you can, with a great deal of pride. And we also typically have a plaque, and, as we all struggle with supply chain issues, we seem to have a little bit of a supply chain issue there as well. So I will maybe step aside and let Mindy say a couple words.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you and congratulations. It's quite the project. It's nice to be seeing a project that has done such a good job with pavement preservation and with continuing a state of good repair of our roadway system. Like Jay mentioned, I was really glad to see all of the ADA improvements that were made within the project to make sure that those individuals who needed those facilities would be able to travel through the project. And just on a personal note, I'm a citizen of this region, and this is not too far from my house. In fact, I drove through there on my way over here tonight. And it was nice to see the improvements that were made in the area and the landscaping that's been added. And I've really enjoyed getting to see the project from the before, the during, and the after. So I'd like to commend the city on such a great project and the project team. John?
Thank you, Mindy. My name is John Ho, and this is Lisa Adams. We helped work with the city team to do this. And Mindy, you took the line out of my head, because I was going to say that. I've been living in Lacey for 30 years, and I lived in that corridor. And it was amazing to see the traffic control, and things worked really well for that project. So not only working with your team to deliver this project, also during the construction piece, it worked really, really well. I'm sure it's a location where between the county and city line, there's a lot of traffic in that area, and good job delivering that project. And great job working with you. Thank you so much.
Would you like to speak? No? Okay. Can we all get together and take a picture of this team together? Yeah, is that all right if we get a picture with the full council? You guys okay with that? Do you mind if we step to the front?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and just real quick as we move on to our next agenda item, the roads and our relationship with the state and gaining federal and state dollars to make sure that our roadways are as good as possible and creating shovel-ready projects is just really a testament to the staff that we have here at the City of Lacey. They do an amazing job, and I know that's because I get to sit in on the Transportation Committee meetings, and we have excellent relationship with the state. The WashDOT, we secure grants. We are constantly going after them. Every effort that can be made to make the roads in this city as good as possible is being made every single day. You guys have seen the College Corridor and how it is transformed over the last 10 years, in addition to, of course, the diverging diamond off-ramp here, that interchange. Department of Transportation has a maintenance facility that has been installed that they wanted to, have here in the city right off of Marvin Road. So I just wanted to, really quickly just say thank you, City of Lacey staff, for all that you do and the incredible hard work that they put in to make things like this happen. So thank you, staff. All right, our next item is the Board of Park Commissioners, and we will be doing a public recognition with the board And for that, we will have Jen Burbidge.
Well, good evening. As Deputy Mayor said, I'm Jen Burbidge, Director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation for the City of Lacey. And on behalf of the Parks Department and the Board, we wish to honor former Parks Board Commissioner Dave Weber. If you want to go back one, if I could ask the Assistant City Manager to go back one. Thank you so much. This is hard, so Dennis, you're in good company. I brought tissue up, and Chair Goodwin promised to bail me out if I need it, which she had to do at our last Parks Board meeting, so I apologize. So I love this picture of Dave. It's a very pixelated picture, but we pulled it from one of our Parks Board meetings recently, and I love it because it has the Timberline Blazers t-shirt that he's wearing, and it says 2011, and so his daughter is here tonight too. Sasha, thank you so much for coming. It says 2011, you can see on the shirt, and I think that's maybe when you were playing at Timberline? Yeah, I graduated 2012 from Timberline High School. So I love it that he's wearing the shirt, and then he's got the Regional Athletic Complex in the background. So we all loved it, myself and the rest of the Parks Board members, when he showed up to the meeting virtually with this backdrop. We thought it was very appropriate for the Parks Board. So again, want to thank Sasha for being here with us. I also want to thank the Chair Goodwin. She's going to be saying a couple words next. And so Dave is known as a former athletic director, coach, sports writer, and all-around champion of Thurston County athletics. We in the Parks Department and many of you here tonight know what a difference being on a sports team can make in a person's life, particularly that of a child or a teen. Social and emotional well-being, physical health and wellness, learning about supporting one another, cheering each other on, really bringing the community together. So I can only imagine how many lives Dave impacted, having been in the athletics field for, 40 plus years, forever. So many lives impacted. And then we'll go to this other slide. As a Park Board Commissioner, Dave was caring, he was funny, he was insightful, he was engaged with the public, he was passionate about helping others, and super, super dedicated. What more could this community want from their Parks Board, really? The city's been really fortunate in this way, and I'm grateful that he moved from the Bay Area 23 years ago to make his way here ultimately to Lacey, and he had taken what brought him here was the athletic director job at the Evergreen State College. And then again, like I said, led him here, and he started as a Park Board member almost exactly 1 year ago to the day. And just staff and Parks Board, we were reminiscing and talking about this, and we started to realize that we really got to spend his last year with him, and that was very special to us. So tonight, Dave, we honor you, and we thank you, and we recognize you for your impact, and that's, you will be greatly missed. So, Chair.
That's a tough one, Jen. Hello, and thank you for being here this evening. On behalf of the Lacey Park Commissioners, I would like to offer condolences to all who knew Dave Weber and thank him for his contributions to the commission. Though our interactions were brief, I was privileged to have had the opportunity to take the Greg Cuyo Park tour with him. As he looked over the future park landscape, he stated, "It probably won't be completed in my lifetime, but looking into the future, I'm excited to know what's actually happening." There is a Greek proverb which states, "A society grows great when they plant trees in whose shade they shall never sit." I think this best exemplifies Commissioner Weber's community-minded leadership. Looking back on this conversation, Commissioner Weber was able to share what he wanted his legacy for the Lacey Parks to be, and their importance to our community members. We are honored to have known Commissioner Dave Weber and carry on his work moving forward, sense him motivating us to do our best. Thank you.
Sasha, we just wanted to give you some flowers, and thanks for sharing your dad with us. And you're welcome to say words or not. It's up to you. It's totally up to you.
Go ahead.
The awkward part. I just want to thank everybody, even if you didn't know my dad. I think we, like you said, moved here in 2000. So I was gone in college and playing basketball overseas and bouncing around everywhere, and brought back after 11 years. And my dad being on the Parks Board was something that he really valued. Wherever he went, he just instilled in me to just leave things better than how you found them, if possible. So I'm going to do my best to keep doing that for the community that's served us and that my dad loved serving. So thank you.
And with that, we will. Well, before we go on to our next agenda item, I just, recognizing the parks and recreation aspect of the city, I really enjoy it because I use all the parks, well, maybe not all of them, probably Rainier Vista the most, but we have so many parks in the city, and they're so well taken care of, and all 1,200 acres falls under Jen's department. And so it is an amazingly huge task, so big that there actually has to be a board to help oversee. But again, all of this so that we can, provide and have the best city that we can possibly have, and that has brought us to being one of the top 75 cities. I think we ranked number 75 out of a lot of cities. All right. And that brings us to our next agenda item. And on this agenda item, we will have a Lacey Youth Council report. Please come forward, Lacey Youth Council.
Hi, I'm Ayana Young, and I'm a junior at North Thurston High School. Some current events at our school right now are our DECA program just got back from their competition in Centralia, and the finalists will soon go to the finals in Bellevue. FBLA is having their first competition in the first week of February. Yearbook is about to complete Deadline 3 by the end of the month. Robotics is taking a break after ending their season in the semifinals match. And then sports-wise, our boys basketball team just competed in the Martin Luther King tournament in Federal Way. And our wrestling team is about to face off Gig Harbor for senior night. Our clubs like National Honor Society and Interact Club are taking on math help at local elementary schools. And our Black Student Union is about to put together our Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
So I'm Keen Bold representative from River Ridge High School. Unfortunately, I do not have all of the juicy bits about clubs and sports because the representative Alanis, who had that stuff prepared, she was not able to be here today. But there's something that I'm really passionate about personally, but I also think has a lot of opportunity to, in the mid to long-term future, nurture a lot of students' skills and creativity. And that's the revitalization I've seen of our STEM resources in our school. This year, we've had a new workshop teacher, Mr. Rebar, who's done a large amount to kind of bring back up again some of our stagnant clubs related to technology and like workshop-related creative skills and classes, and seeing that part of our school that was kind of stagnant for the past years come alive again has been really exciting to me as somebody who's interested in those fields, and I hope that the students who follow me after I graduate will have much better resources and experiences with those areas.
Hi, I'm Nathan Miller. I'm the representative from Pope John Paul II High School. Our basketball team recently both of our varsity basketball teams won their games. Our semester is ending next week with finals week, and we're preparing for that by having a mass tomorrow. FBLA has hosted a scarf and hat drive for the St. James Cathedral kitchen, and the school is looking to change its logo, and we just had a new logo selected, and the logo was created by one of the students. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mr. Deputy Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Justin Begley, and I'm a senior at Timberline High School, and I also serve as the mayor of the Youth Council. Over this past month, Timberline students participated in a few of Timberline's holiday traditions. In the month of December, Timberline students took part in a service project where Timberline students donated fleece to make blankets. On the Wednesday before winter break, Timberline students gathered in the Commons to make blankets and listened to holiday music while drinking hot chocolate. Timberline students made over 145 blankets that were donated to a local organization in the Lacey Olympia area. This service project has taught students the importance of service and giving. I was lucky enough to be a part of the distribution team that got to pass out the blankets that were to those who needed them. It was very heartwarming to see the smiles and joy that the people had when they received a new warm blanket. It was also amazing to see how such a small act of kindness can have a huge impact on someone. I would like to thank the Timberline students and families that donated fleece to help make 145 people warmer. I'd also like to thank Timberline students who participated in the blanket workshop to make the blankets. Finally, I'd like to thank Ms. Belisle and Timberline leadership team for making this all possible by planning the event and executing the logistics of this event. Throughout the last 2 weeks before winter break, students also took part in the annual Timberline Winter Wishes, where students filled out a winter wish form for a fellow student to receive a gift. These gifts were bought by Timberline staff and were distributed to the student body on the last few days before winter break. These gifts included necessities like school supplies or a warm jacket, to more miscellaneous items like a gift card to a student's favorite restaurant. I would like to thank the Timberline staff members who granted student wishes this year, as it really does have an impact on the students. It is events like this that bring the Timberline community together and make Timberline a great place to learn, but also be a part of. Earlier this month, Timberline students and families were made aware of a water test conducted by the Washington State Department of Health, that was released on December 14th, 2022, that revealed lead in Timberline's drinking water. 29 sources tested positive for lead. These water sources included sinks, fountains, and water bottle filling stations, with the range of lead parts per billion being between less than 1 to 33 parts per billion. As per district's policy on drinking water, all water sources at or above 15 parts per billion are immediately shut off and replaced. At Timberline, 5 sources had 15 or exceeded 15 parts per billion. There were 11 water sources that fell under the district's lesser level with ranges of 5 to 14 lead parts per billion. These pipes legally do not need to be replaced, but the district replaces them anyway. Many of the students I have talked to about the situation have described it as disgusting and gross. All information used can be found on the district's website with the full report and reports of other schools, including North Thurston High School and River Ridge High School, including many other middle schools and elementary schools. Last week, Timberline held its annual Martin Luther King Jr. Assembly that highlighted racism and discrimination within our school and community. The assembly included performances by Timberline's Black Student Union and staff members of Lift Every Voice and Sing, and student speeches that highlighted student experiences of being discriminated against due to the color of their skin or culture. A student shared a story about being made fun of because of the food they ate. The student went on to say that they threw out their food and went home hungry just to fit in. The Assembly's goal was to show progress with inclusion and to spread awareness of discrimination within our school and community, and how we can expand on Dr. King's dream. Finally, Timberline High School and Yelm High School held a school competition to see which school can donate the most food. The schools collected mac and cheese, chili, canned fruit, and canned vegetables. After 2 weeks of collection, Timberline students and families donated 213 boxes of mac and cheese, 190 cans of chili, 24 cans of fruit, and 37 cans of vegetables. Timberline students and families also donated many other items like soup and other food that were donated but could not be counted towards their competition. In total, Timberline students and families donated 464 plus items that will be donated to the Thurston County Food Bank. All the donations from Yelm High School will also be donated to the Thurston County Food Bank. I would like to thank all the students and families for their donations, and I would also like to thank the leadership, students, and staff from both Timberline and Yelm for their hard work putting together this amazing event. These past few months have been filled with giving and selflessness, and I encourage all members of our community to commit to doing at least one small act of kindness each day to make our community a better place. A small act of kindness can have a huge impact on someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Lacey Youth Council, and thank each of you for representing your schools, representing your class, and being the voice for those who may otherwise be unheard. Thank you. You guys may or may not know this, but the number one fear of people in the United States is actually public speaking, right? And so here we have 4 teenagers who are taking advantage of this situation and maybe will probably never have that fear. I can see they're a little nervous up here, but you know, as we send them out into the world, I'm really hopeful that is not something that plagues them like it does 76% of the United States. So thank you again for being willing to stand up here and give your reports to this group and to this body. Our next award is the Lacey Loves to Read Bookmark winners. And to present these, I will bring Jeanette Seiler, who is Recreation Supervisor.
Good evening. I'm Jeanette with Lacey Parks Culture and Recreation. And joining me tonight is Jamie Roberts from the North Thurston School District and Raina Seedor of the Lacey Timberland Library. They'll be speaking in a couple minutes here. And I also want to welcome our grand prize winners who will be recognized tonight and their families. Now celebrating 20 years, Lacey Loves to Read continues to be a popular and successful community literacy partnership between the City of Lacey, the Lacey Timberland Library, Lacey South Sound Chamber, and the North Thurston Public Schools. The mission of Lacey Loves to Read is to bring the community together around the works of one award-winning author. Each year, the committee looks for someone who has written a variety of books which will spark interest and encourage reading for all ages. And we couldn't do this program without the support of many community sponsors and businesses, including the Friends of the Lacey Library, North Thurston Education Association, and more.
This year's program will feature a #1 New York Times bestselling author, Dan Gemeinhart. His first book, The Honest Truth, was voted by young readers in Washington State as the winner of the Sasquatch Book Award. We awarded his second book, Some Kind of Courage, the Washington State Book Award. He's also the author of Scar Island, Good Dog, and The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise. His newest book, The Midnight Children, was a New York Times bestseller, #1. A former teacher, he lives in a small town in central Washington with his wife and 3 daughters. The Lacey Loves to Read and the Lacey Timberland Library are also very proud to sponsor our teen writing and cover art contest for middle and high school students. There's always a goal of giving teens a special opportunity to participate in Lacey Loves to Read by sharing their writing and art skills. The committee is currently going through the judging process for this year's entries, and the winner will have their work preserved in an ebook. I have some examples of some of the previous years here. There's some really gorgeous work.
The committee is currently working on deciding on some winners. They'll be recognized in a special reception with the author. After a 2-year hiatus, Read Around Lacey is back in a fantastic partnership with the South Sound Chamber of Commerce. Kids grades K through 5 can participate in get a piece of paper and go around to a bunch of different businesses. They're asked to go to about 6 different businesses. And they read something that they've written, which is a great practice, public speaking, like we talked about. But it's also a really awesome opportunity for them to learn about how reading is a practical skill in our business work contexts, where a volunteer or a staff member will talk about how they use reading in their work. Participants will be entered into a drawing for some big prizes. Read Around Lacey is happening right now through January 27th. Kids can pick up a form at their school, the Hawks Prairie or Lacey Timberland libraries, or they can always print one out on the website.
Okay, well, we are excited about Dan coming to Lacey. It will be February 8th and 9th is when he comes, and he'll meet students in a couple of assemblies and also be able to greet other Laceyeites in person at our popular community event that will be in the evening of February 9th, and that is at North Thurston School's Koval Center at 6:30, and all the community is invited. We are excited about that. There will be author presentation and also book signings at that event. So please join us. So part of the Lacey Loves to Read tradition is to get kids excited about the program and combine that with art and literacy. And part of that is the bookmark contest, which we have some special guests to do with that here. This year, we again had hundreds of students that entered bookmarks that they had designed. This contest is sponsored by Graphic Communications and the North Thurston Ed Foundation. We had 24 winners representing every school in the district, as well as the private schools and homeschoolers. Tonight, we are here to introduce the grand prize winners. We'd love to recognize all of them, but we're going to do the grand prize winners, the top in each age group from North Thurston Public Schools and also the community. Once again, the competition was tough, as the artwork was just really simply amazing. It's quite an event to go through the judging of that. The contest, and in fact the entire program, is managed by Lacey Loves to Read Steering Committee, made up of partnerships between representatives from the library and other places, along with dedicated teachers and librarians. Are there other community members in the audience that would stand for us to be recognized? Who else is on that committee? I know there's faces out here. Very good. Yeah. Also like to recognize the support we have from our Superintendent Clemens, who's here tonight. And do we have any school board members that are here tonight? We appreciate their support for all of the events that we do. We're going to announce each of the winners and share their artwork and invite them to come up here and get a certificate from the mayor, the deputy mayor, and then shake hands with all the council members. Once we have all the kids up here, then we'll take photos of all of them with the whole council. So if you'll stay up here, okay? So each grand prize winner received a copy of one of the books. For the littlest ones, they didn't get from that author because his was a little bit over their reading level. But they got a copy of the Lacey Loves to Read author for this year. Also got copies of their bookmark that they could give to friends and family, and they'll get a poster tonight also for that, and then a little swag bag for them, which is always fun. So let's start with our presentations. So let's start with our K1 grand prize winner. Great place to start with Christopher Merschlich. If he can come up, he is a kindergartner at Lydia Hawk Elementary. Hi, Christopher, are you excited? Yes.
You mind if we take a picture together real quick?
Okay.
Is that all right? Okay. And so why don't you turn around? Okay. And we can hold that right there. There you go. Oh.
And we.
Congratulations. Let's shake hands.
Other.
Are you left-handed or right-handed? Right-handed? Okay.
Very good. Do you want him to shake hands with each now?
Well, maybe we can have them line up. Do you mind standing there for a minute?
Okay. All right. All right. And then our third grade grand prize winner is Owen Toll. He's a third grader at Pleasant Glade Elementary. Come on up, Christopher, or Owen. You'll get them all when they do. Okay.
Take a handshake with your right hand, if that's okay. Is that all right?
Yeah. All right. So our fifth grade grand prize winner is Abigail Conley. She's a fifth grader at Seven Oaks. She is absent the evening, but we wanted to congratulate her on this achievement. Her remark when we gave it to her was she had tried it. It was her dream since kindergarten. So I was so sad she's not here, but you know. Awesome. Okay, and our 6th through 8th grade grand prize winner is Tiffany Lamb. She's an 8th grader at Camachin Middle School. Come on up, Tiffany. Our 9th through 12th grade grand prize winner is Serena McReynolds. She's a 12th grader at North Thurston High School. Congratulations. I think Serena shared with us she'd entered a bookmark every year since kindergarten. That's dedication, right? That's so awesome. And our community grand prize winner is Isabella Bjork, 8th grader at Faith Lutheran University. I'm promoting her. Faith Lutheran School. Isabella.
So everybody make their award face out like this. So that we can, and then if the council doesn't mind, we're going to take a picture. Yeah.
Can the kids come out in front and the council behind them?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be great.
Should kids come out front? That's a good idea. When we're done with pictures, we'll shake hands.
Thank you, grand prize winners. Amazing artwork. And those, just to share, those bookmarks were printed and sent out to all the schools. So there's a lot of those you might see around other students having. It's exciting. Kids always look forward to those bookmarks coming out. Thank you for your time and your artwork. It's amazing.
And we do hope all of you can join us at the community event on February 9th. So watch for information on that, and thank you very much.
We're going to do the handshake?
Can we do the handshake?
Yeah.
You guys mind if we shake hands? Start over here.
I made a mistake.
Congratulations, good job. Good job. Long waited, worth it. Good job. Great job. Great job. Great job. Thank you for all the participants and winners. That's probably going to be the funnest part of our agenda, at least for me. But moving on with things, our next agenda item is public comment. And it looks like we have one person signed up for public comment, and they signed up to speak via Zoom. I don't know as of yet if that person has logged in, signed in, is ready to go. But John will share with us. And okay, and so let's see. We have Holly Paxson with the Lacey Library. Is that you, Holly?
That's me.
Okay,
Good evening,
so
Deputy Mayor.
hi. So you are having a public comment, and please keep your comment to about 3 minutes if you can. And
Will do.
the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. Good evening, City Council members. My name is Holly Paxson. I'm the Library Manager for the Lacey Timberland Library at 500 College Street Southeast and the Hawks Prairie Timberland Library at 8205 Martin Way, Suite B. And I have an exciting announcement to share with you all. Beginning Sunday, February 5th, the Hawks Prairie Timberland Library at 8205 Martin Way, Suite B in Lacey, will be open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesdays through Sundays. Our patrons have been requesting Sunday hours in Lacey since I began working here in 2012, and Timberland Regional Library is thrilled to finally be able to say yes to Sunday hours at our libraries in Lacey. Because Hawks Prairie Timberland Library is staffed by the same staff who staff Lacey Timberland Library, in order to support these new hours, the Lacey Timberland Library will be returning to our pre-pandemic opening time of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays through Saturdays, beginning Monday, February 6th. These new open hours will provide 96 total open hours of library services in Lacey each week. These changes result in a net increase of 2 open hours per week compared to our current hours, and an increase of 46 hours per week compared to our pre-pandemic hours. If the council has any questions about this change, I am happy to entertain them now. Other than that, that is my comment for you this evening.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have anything? No? Councilmember Vasquez.
I can just affirm as a citizen of Lacey that I've been interested in having Sunday library hours for a long time, so this is great news.
We are very excited to bring it to you, and we are so excited to hope that more of you will find and explore and enjoy the Hawks Prairie Timberland Library, which is our newest branch that we opened in February of last year. So I'm glad to be able to bring that additional service hours to the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your comment. I was at the opening of that library in Hawks Prairie. It was great. A lot of effort and energy goes into standing up a library, opening up the library, staffing a library, making sure that we have hours that are conducive to the public. So wonderful job by you and your team. The next item on our agenda, well, I guess before we move on from public comment, is there anyone here today who would like to address this council? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our next agenda item, and our next item is proclamations. And the proclamation that we have for today is Lacey Loves to Read, and this proclamation will be received by Janet Seiler. But first, we will read the proclamation, starting with Councilmember Vasquez.
Thank you. Whereas literacy is a top school and community concern and is integral to success in school, business, and daily living. And
whereas providing opportunities for citizens of all ages to discuss the cultural and literary merits of common reading will help create a culture of 20 minutes a day family literacy and civic pride in Lacey. And
whereas a community-wide reading program, such as Lacey Loves to Read Month, will support both students and community members in understanding the power of writing and literacy in their lives. And
whereas a partnership between North Thurston Public Schools, the City of Lacey, and the Lacey Timberland Regional Library has made this program possible, and whereas reading literature that explores diversity, global and social issues can help increase tolerance and unity within a community. And
whereas reading informs us, empowers us, and teaches us the lessons of history. And whereas Lacey residents can read and discuss a variety of works by award-winning author Dan Gemmenhart, who will visit our community February 9th and 10th, 2023. And now, therefore, I, Malcolm Miller, Deputy Mayor of the City of Lacey, on behalf of the City of Lacey Council, do hereby proclaim February 2023 as Lacey Loves to Read Month in the City of Lacey and encourage citizens of all ages to acknowledge and celebrate the importance of reading and to discuss works by author Dan Gibbon-Hart. Signed this day, January 19th, by myself, Deputy Mayor Malcolm Miller. And I would like to invite Jeanette Seiler up and her team to accept this proclamation.
And I'm excited to have some of our committee members, teachers, librarians joining us, as well as school district and library.
Superintendent, would you mind coming forward as well? So on behalf of the City of Lacey, I present you with the proclamation, please.
Thank you. And you've heard all about Lacey Loves to Read and this great crew. So we'll come by and shake all your hands now.
Well, thank you guys for being here and accepting the proclamation from the city. And as we move on to our next agenda item, which is a referral from the hearings examiner for project number 19-309. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so before we move on from proclamations, there was another proclamation that was supposed to happen tonight, but it's been removed from the agenda. The recipient couldn't make it, and hopefully we will be able to reschedule that proclamation for a date in the future. And I kind of want to tell you what it is, but I kind of don't want to waste it. So hopefully it will be on a future agenda, and we will be able to share that with you. I don't want to spoil the surprise. Now we can move on to our next agenda item. For this agenda item, for project number 19-309, I will be turning the floor over to Sarah Seymour, who is our senior planner.
Good evening. So tonight you have a hearings examiner referral before you relating to a request for Shoreline substantial development permit, Shoreline conditional use permit, and a Shoreline variance. The applicant is seeking approval for retention of an installed concrete patio, repaired or replaced bulkhead, gravel fill, and to allow the installation of a second dock on a 3.08 acre property located at 2603 Carpenter Road Southeast. The property located on the east side of Hicks Lake is zoned as low-density residential and shoreline residential. Andrew Reeves, the Sound Law Center, Lacey's hearings examiner, conducted an open record public hearing on October 18th of last year. The hearing was held as a Zoom webinar, which allowed for public testimony. The council chambers was also available for a live viewing and participation at City Hall. All public notice provided information necessary for the public and interested parties to attend and provide testimony. City staff, as well as the applicant and the representatives, provided testimony and exhibits, which are also included in the full record. No members of the public provided testimony at the hearing. The record before the hearings examiner included community and economic development staff analysis, application materials and technical reports, comments from the Department of Ecology, and one member of the public. The full record is available on the city's website, including the video recording of the public hearing. Council has the full record before them, including the hearings examiner's recommendation dated December 8th, 2022. The hearings examiner is recommending that the council approve the request for a shoreline substantial development permit and shoreline conditional use permit to allow for the retention of a bulkhead and gravel fill associated with the bulkhead, as well as for ecological restoration activities necessary to address impacts to the vegetation management area within the shoreline environment that occurred previously during unpermitted development. The The hearings examiner is recommending the council deny the request for a shoreline substantial development permit and a shoreline variance that would allow for the retention of a concrete patio and for the installation of a second dock structure on the Hicks Lake shoreline. Details of the recommendation are in his report. Staff is available to answer procedural questions about the project. However, now I'm going to turn it over to Dave Schneider.
Thank you, Samara. Council members, as Samara indicated before you is a recommendation from the hearings examiner on an application for a shoreline substantial development permit, a shoreline conditional use permit, and a shoreline variance. The hearings examiner has made a recommendation to the city, and the city council now is in a decision capacity where the council can approve the application, modify the application, or deny the application. If the council approves the application, it can do so by adopting the hearing examiner's recommendation and findings of fact and conclusions of law. If the council modifies or denies the recommendation, then council must adopt its own findings of fact and conclusions of law, which would support the council's decision. I'll remind council that this is a quasi-judicial matter. The appearance of fairness doctrine is at play. The doctrine requires government decision makers to conduct non-court hearings and proceedings in a manner that is fair and unbiased in both appearance and fact. So to this end, any ex parte contact is prohibited. Council members that have engaged in ex parte communication are required to place the substance of that communication on the record and allow any involved parties to rebut the substance of any of that communication. At the end of the day, the decision is whether a fair-minded person would conclude that the decision maker was impartial and free from outside influences when rendering their decision. So I do have a couple of questions for council that I will ask as a group. If any individual council member wishes to expand on it, we can certainly do so. But do any council members have any personal interests that would be affected by denying or approving the requested permits?
I do not.
No.
Have any council members had any ex parte communications? This would be off the record communications, either written or oral, concerning the requested permits with any proponents or opponents of the matter while it was before council?
I have not.
No.
No.
Is there any reason why any council member cannot consider the requested permit applications in a fair and impartial manner?
No.
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 Okay, thank you.
And so with that, we have before us project number 19-309 for the shoreline variance. We need a motion.
Yeah. I would move to accept the hearing examiner recommendation regarding project 19-309.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this matter that we haven't, well, I guess we haven't discussed it at all, but does anybody have anything further to say about this matter that has not been seen before or that we've not discussed? Or okay. Councilmember Cox.
I'll just say that I'm entirely comfortable with this recommendation, so I'll be voting yes.
Okay. And is there anyone else? Okay. Well, then it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the hearing examiner's recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah. The next item on our agenda is under ordinances. And before us, we have ordinance number 1633, which will be an update to some language that we have in the Lacey Municipal Code, Chapter 7, as it refers to animals. And prior to jumping that, we will hear from Sarah Hawk, who is the Executive Director of Joint Animal Services.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor. Good evening, City Council. On behalf of Joint Animal Services and the Joint Animal Services Commission, we are requesting that Lacey City Council pass Ordinance 1633, updating language to close the gap in animal cruelty and adding language to include community cats. At this time, do you have any questions or concerns?
Is there anybody who has questions or concerns? We did kind of review this a little bit, and first let's get a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 1633, update language to LMC Chapter 7 for animals.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. If you guys don't mind, we jump into some discussion. We all got to see the language disparity, and I'm 100% in agreement with the language, the updated language, as the previous language kind of left the ownership to the person who said, I am specifically the owner. And this updated language should help us out in that capacity. For those of you who are listening or watching, the language that we're going from is an owner of an animal, and we are going to language that says a person. That is the key difference in this situation. So, as an example, prior we said an owner of an animal is guilty of animal cruelty if the person knowingly, recklessly, or with criminal negligence inflicts unnecessary suffering or pain upon the animal. The language will now read, a person is guilty of animal cruelty if that person knowingly, recklessly, or with criminal negligence inflicts unnecessary suffering or pain on the animal. So we've broadened the scope so that it's not narrowed down to ownership. It's just narrowed down to a person being cruel to an animal. And so, as a group, we felt that this was going to be very helpful in making a better city. And so that is what is before us today. So it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda under ordinances is number 1634, our Board of Parks Commissioners name change. And for that, we will have our Director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation, Jen Burbidge.
Thank you. Good evening again, Deputy Mayor and council members. Before you tonight is the recommendation to adopt ordinance number 1634, which would change the Parks Board name from the Board of Park Commissioners to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board. This recommendation came from the Parks Board, and there were two main reasons brought up for this change. First, the board name change would mirror the recent Parks and Recreation Department name change, which went to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department, and this would provide consistency if the board that supports that department is called the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Board. And it also represents better what the board supports, which is culture and recreation in addition to parks. The second reason is that it's been a little bit clunky. It is the only city board that has both board and commissioners in the title, and so this fits in better with other city board titles and also lends itself better to the shortened name of Parks Board, which we all have been calling it for a long time anyway. So I did want to point out the changes to the ordinance are only regarding the name change, and there's no content change to the ordinance itself. So
I would move approval of ordinance 1634, changing the name of the Board of Park Commissioners.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion from our previous park board members?
This seems like a very straightforward and beneficial adjustment to the name because this board does more than just administer parks programs. It does a lot for the city, so.
Awesome. So again, a housekeeping item for everyone's consideration has been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Next, we will be moving on to the mayor's report. And in this next agenda item, we will be appointing Spencer Zeman to the CAR-PFD Board of Directors. Apparently that is going to require a motion, but I don't see Spencer's.
You make the
Oh,
motion.
that's
He's
Spencer.
here.
Okay.
You would make
Hi,
that
Spencer.
motion. You make it.
Okay. So I will move that we appoint Spencer Zeman to the CAR-PFD Board of Directors. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll happily second.
So it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about Mr. Zeman's appointment? Okay, seeing none. Oh, please, go ahead.
Well, I know Mr. Zeman, and I think he'll be a great asset to the board, so congratulations.
So it has been moved and seconded, and all of those in favor of appointing Spencer Zeman to the CAR-PFD Board of Directors, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries unanimously. And congratulations, Mr. Zeman, for being appointed to the Board of Directors. Would you like to address the council briefly? Or are you good? Or please, go ahead.
I'd like to say thank you for your support, and that I hope that I can contribute my time and talent in whatever way is necessary and helpful and beneficial to continue the legacy that has been established and continue it forward into the future. So thank you again.
Thank you so very much. Next on our agenda, we have a reappointment to the Lacey Library Board, and that reappointment is appointed to, with us here tonight, Charla Desi. Am I saying your last name right? DC. Okay. There was really only two options. Then this reappointment actually has come through the mayor. He couldn't be with us tonight, and so it is just being delivered by me, but you have his full support. I would move that we reappoint Charla Desi to the Lacey Library Board. Can I get a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? None. You are, and okay, so it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Congratulations for your reappointment. Would you like to address the council for a moment?
I just want to say thank you to the board for the opportunity to continue to serve. I was on the library board through the refresh, the renovation of the library, through the pandemic, through the efforts to get Sunday hours that you heard about from Holly. And I look forward to great things from the library as we move forward. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Both of these guys had just no opposition, fully supported. I like it. Congratulations to you both. Next on our agenda is our city manager's report, and the first item under the city management report is a memorandum of agreement, which should outlines the Brewery Wellfield asset transfer. And for that, we have our water resources manager, Mr. Peter Brooks. Would you? I'm sorry.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and members of the council. So before you tonight is a memorandum of agreement for transfer of brewery assets. There we go. So the purpose of this presentation is to explain the memorandum of agreement, to provide an opportunity for the council to ask questions, make sure you understand what this is about, and then I'll provide a recommendation that you vote to authorize the interim city manager to sign the MOA. So a little historical context. In 2003, the Olympia Brewery closed. In 2008, the cities of Tumwater, Olympia, Lacey purchased the brewery water rights and some specified property for an aggregate value of $4.5 million. $3 million was for the land and other tangible assets, and $1.5 million was for the water rights. This is a figure that shows what we're talking about. So the area with the white line, that is showing you the places where the water rights are allowed to be withdrawn. And then if you look in the, I guess the northeast corner, you'll see purple lines. Those are the parcels that the three cities own. This is, in case you didn't recognize, this is the Deschutes River, Tumwater Valley Golf Course. Over on the left side, west side, is I-5 passing through there, just to get you oriented. Okay, so the provisions of the MOA, it provides a means for any brewery partner to transfer assets to any other partner. It specifies an appraisal of tangible assets and evaluation of the water rights. So these are two different functions. One party has been selected to actually do the appraisal of real assets, and then another organization that specializes in water rights has been selected to work on the water right valuation. Signing this, going into this process, only allows the opportunity to do it. It doesn't obligate any party to actually transfer assets. So if the appraisal comes back and we go, I don't think so, we are under no obligation to have a purchase and sale agreement. That's a separate subsequent document. Additional provisions of the MOA addresses the cost for known future property restoration efforts. And what's specified in the document is well decommissioning. There are 30 wells on site. We've done an assessment of them. They're not useful, and so they're just conduits for contamination. And so state law and just common sense says they should be decommissioned. There's a reservoir. We thought it could be useful. We've decided, after evaluating it, not so useful. It may have some salvage value, may not, but it needs to be decommissioned. And there's demolition of the existing well houses. Once the wells are gone, there's no reason to have well houses, so they have to go. And then to accomplish all that, we'll sub this out to a project management, probably an engineering firm, and so there'll be some small costs for that project management effort. The MOA also addresses past expenses which have been covered by the City of Tumwater. One is stormwater fees. The properties are all in Tumwater, therefore they're subject to their stormwater utility and stormwater fees. They have not charged Lacey or Olympia for the fees. They've just kind of covered them for us, but they expect to get reimbursed. And then there's also consultant fees. Tumwater ran the contract with the consulting firm that evaluated all the property, all the wells and all that. And so they want to get paid back for the money they've advanced on that. The MOA also includes certain standard contract terms, and I list them there. I won't go through reading them all, but if you're familiar with contract language, these are things you typically want to have in a contract to make it work smoothly. So I'm recommending that you approve the interim city manager to sign the agreement. And do you have any questions?
Please. We'll start with Councilmember Vasquez.
I would move that we authorize the interim city manager to sign the MOA for transfer of assets between Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey related to the brewery Wellfield.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. And so let's get into some discussion. Councilmember Greenstein.
So my understanding of this is obviously it would be extremely expensive for us to actually use those water rights in Lacey, right, because of the distance, I'm assuming?
Yes, there would be the issue of somehow getting the water into Lacey. We could build a pipeline, very expensive. Somewhat cheaper would be to come up with a water wheeling agreement with Olympia. Still expensive because the water's all the way down there. We're up here, booster pump stations, changes to our system, changes to their system. They'd expect us to improve their system, make it useful to us. So yes, and from what we know from our preliminary studies, the water down there is going to need treatment, iron manganese removal. So we'll have to have a treatment facility
Even
down
more
there.
expensive.
Right.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify.
And so, anybody else? In this MOU, we're just basically saying, hey, let's get all agree and start discussing how we're going to use these rights. And we had talked about the potential of wheeling water from one city to another. I think it was like a year and a half ago when we first started talking about this. And so if we get into this agreement, it sounds as if it's really just going to further discussion and potentially give us the opportunity to come up with some kind of an action.
Right. So what this would do is allow us to move forward with the appraisal and water right valuation and find out what it's worth, and then you consider all the things that have to be deducted, the well decommissioning and whatnot, and find out what it nets.
Okay. And then will that appraisal come before?
And then we will come back to council with a recommendation one way or another.
Excellent.
Deputy Mayor.
Oh, please.
Peter, for the benefit of those listening, could you explain what impact this may have on our water rights and our ability to provide water for X number of years out in the future?
Right. So this amount of water right is a little less, I think, than 5% of our total water right portfolio. So it isn't huge. It is something. And giving away water right, or really selling water right, has to be carefully considered. But it's the next increment of water we produce is going to be expensive regardless. But we could probably do it somewhat less expensively by doing it in our own backyard than all the way down at the Tumwater Brewery property.
And we're good for 20 years or?
Depends on rates of growth, but we're like 25 to maybe 40 years, depends on how things play out. And that's with the water rights we have now. If we can start to, through our partners and LOT, come up with reclaimed water that will augment our water supply, that could be future water.
Thank you.
Well, Councilmember Vasquez, please.
It's worth saying that we appreciate Tumwater's graciousness in covering the preliminary costs for some of this work, and I like that the MOA allows us to reimburse them for those costs. So we can get that piece of things moving even as we do the assessment.
Correct.
Does anybody else have any other comments? Okay. Well, it has been moved and seconded for the council to authorize the interim city manager to sign this MOA between Olympia Tumwater and the Lacey related to the brewery at Wellfield. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you.
This is the city manager's report section of the agenda, and with that, I would like to hand it over to our interim city manager, Rick Walk.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I had a second item on the city manager report, and this will be presented by our utility engineer, Puna Clark, and it's to present ask the council to award a contract for the Beechcrest Wellfield pH improvements.
Good evening. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. Staff is recommending award for the Beechcrest Wellfield pH Improvement Project, which is PW 2019-29. So this project is located in the Beechcrest area in the north part of the city limits, or actually in the urban growth area on the north part of town, which is off of 48th Way and off of Hilton. So it is in an existing city Wellfield area. It has 2 existing wells and 1 newly drilled well, which is not currently equipped. My remote's not working. Sorry. Thank you. So the low bidder for this project is McClure & Sons with a low bid of $4,088,846.07. The engineer's estimate was $4,499,738.25. There are 7 bidders on this project. The working days are 250 working days, and we anticipate starting this project in March. Let's see, maybe, oh, there we go. So for this project, we'll be doing a new potable water package aeration facility. Here at this site, this project includes a new treatment facility building, a new well building, new water lines, a new stormwater pond, installing a new standby generator, decommissioning a water well, demolishing existing buildings, as well as relocating an existing building to another well site, electrical, telemetry, instrumentation and controls, as well as landscaping and other site work. This project is a mandated project by the Washington State Department of Health as part of our city's corrosion control study for pH adjustment. Okay. So this picture, you can see it's a part of our design. We're doing a treatment facility building. It is built out of CMU blocks, and it has a metal roof. And if we go to the next slide, oh, one back. It looks very similar to one of our existing buildings. It'll have a blue roof with gray CMU. So it is looking very similar to all of our other well site buildings, blending in. So if you have any questions, I'll take them now.
I would move to award Lacey contract number PW 2019-29 to low bidder McClure & Sons, Inc. from Mill Creek, Washington, in the amount of $4,088,846.07.
I'll second. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about this project?
It's nice that the low bid came in substantially lower than the engineer's estimate. That's excellent.
I think so too. Are there any state dollars involved in this project at all?
No, this is all funded city funds.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded, and if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Puna.
And I have just one more kind of just a general good report out is, as everybody knows, we have the Lacey Makerspace. It's located on St. Martin University's campus. That's been a facility that's brought 3 foundational partners together to get the project started, launched in 2019, and those partners being St. Martin's University, the Thurston Economic Development Council, and the City of Lacey. And as we've been working and expanding, the council's aware that we received an EDA grant about a year and a half ago, about $1 million for equipment. And then just this last month or so, the Congress passed the omnibus bill, which included some congressional direct spending, and awarded $1 million to the Lacey Makerspace for expansion of that facility. And St. Martin's, Zavro Hall, where the Makerspace is located, used to be their facilities building, where housing their facilities team. They have since vacated that building, allowing the Makerspace to utilize the entire 10,000 square feet and use that part of that $1 million to partially fund the expansion within that space. And the reason why I bring this up is, as one of our congressional delegation, Senator Murray, Senator Cantwell, as well as Congresswoman Strickland, all supported that effort for that direct spending action. And we were contacted by Senator Murray's office because Senator Murray wanted to actually come and take a tour of the facility. So we were, in short notice, pulled together a tour yesterday for Senator Murray, and thank you, Deputy Mayor, for being able to attend that, as well as Mayor Ryder. And we had our foundational partners there, but more importantly, we had Michelle Pope and Nathan Cobble, the staff at the Makerspace, as well as 3 makers that are currently using the space to be able to share their stories and what that funding that Senator Murray was a part of means for the Makerspace, not only for today, but going forward. So I think it was a really well tour, and I want to thank Shannon for help coordinating some of those logistics, as well as David Hodges from our lobbyist to help coordinate that effort and have a successful tour. And I think Senator Murray was well impressed with the equipment we have there already and how those makers are actually using the facility. So I just want to share that with council, that continue to get that support for that makerspace.
I thought she was most impressed with there's a girl who makes earrings, and inside the earring there's a chip, and the chip will turn on your playlist and your Spotify or some of your other accounts, and she really seemed to like that. In addition, there's a guy who is putting together an electric bike, but it's kind of you take your existing bike and you add his components to it, and now you have an EV. And so that there was a few good things that came out of that. So we were able to demonstrate that the funding was well spent.
Yep. And there's another user, an entrepreneur. She's a nurse, and she has this idea to improve a medical procedure for women. And she is at the makerspace trying to prototype what that design looks like before she actually spends the money for fabrication. And so that's kind of the great thing about the makerspace is you can use, especially this higher tech equipment that we have been able to purchase for the EDA funds with using carbon fiber and other materials that for about $4 can create prototypes and make sure that that is set up correctly before going out and having it machined. Without that, you typically would go and have to hire a fabricator to produce a prototype, which could range from $5,000 to $15,000, depending on what method you use in the fabrication process. So that really reduces that cost barrier. And then this other company we had there, they're an established company, but they're changing their product line, and so they're providing access to their staff to the makerspace to start looking at prototypes, how to deal with some of the schematics of changing their product line. And this is again, established company. And so with this, they'll be able to expand their market and also potentially include more employees in the future to implement this change. So it's one of those things where it can be used at all levels of hobbyists to entrepreneurs to full-fledged businesses.
It was awesome. So I think in short what that means is thank you, City Council, for continuing to support and back the Lacey Makerspace. It's because it's really starting to work out really well. Okay, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is standing general committees. And it looks like Community Relations and Public Affairs is first. I believe that. Okay.
Righty. The Community Relations and Public Affairs Committee met on December the 5th. We had a 3-item agenda, Lacey's Compassionate Community Project, city banners, and our legislative agenda management system. And I'll just start with the management system here. Lacey has been using a legacy version of the Granicus Media Manager to process live meetings and display meeting materials since 2011. The current system no longer meets the needs of the city as it continues to grow. So the staff has selected Civil Clerk for the new legislative agenda management system, and they hope to implement that by second quarter of this year. We got to see some of the features of it, and it sounds like it's going to be way better than what we have now. Donna Feliciano, our communications specialist, presented the poll banner project, which is part of the city's public art plan. It includes the following objectives and themes. The objectives are to define city boundaries or entryways into the community, to create a sense of community identity and character, to reflect Lacey's heritage, history, community values, and culture, to provide interactive opportunities for the general public, to provide a pleasing living, working, and playing environment, to enhance economic development and attract visitors, to provide sustainable maintenance and operation costs, to create opportunities for civic engagement, and finally, to evoke a sense of fun. So there's several themes chosen for these banners. The natural beauty of the city is reflected in its trees and lakes. A history of the community is reflected in historic buildings, founding families, and an event of historical significance. The importance of family and youth in our community. Northwest artifacts, signs, and symbols, including Native American art, salmon, orcas, fishing, and timber. Historic reproduction lighting, ornamental poles, landscape furnishings, entry signs, park signs, clocks, bell towers, and fountains. The rich diversity of the community and exceptional military service and the community's the community's military connection. So we used lodging tax funds for the pole banner project. We anticipate 15 to 20 banners will be displayed throughout the city starting this spring. And then we received an update on the 22-23 Compassionate Community Project, which is a partnership with North Thurston School District and the Lacey South Sound Chamber for compassionate community efforts. The annual compassionate community projects include fundraising for the local Lacey Food Bank, 100,000 compassionate acts, which was done in 2018 and 2019, Seasons of Compassion, fundraising for the Lacey Food Pantry, and the Spirit of Giving Back. Part one was in the 2021 year, and going forward, we have part two. Businesses and groups may participate by creating or finding a project to engage in. And that's the report.
Awesome. I remember the banner project when it was being brought to us, and fully supported it. And I've been looking forward to seeing, banners showing, what's happening in the city and what you can do this weekend or what is happening right now. So I'm very excited to see those go up. Did you want to share anything on that project? It was headed up by our assistant city manager, Shannon Kelly Fong. And if you'd like to.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members, and I really want to pass on the compliments to Donna Feliciano, our communications specialist, who really led the project. And we were able to purchase, I believe the final count came to 32 banners. And so we have got them on site here at City Hall, and they're really beautiful and showcase a lot of the great things that you can do here in the city of Lacey. And the theme is limitless Lacey, excuse me. So just big distinction there. But just acknowledging that there are so many fantastic things, from our parks and recreation, our events, to just other great amenities in the community. And so we are happy to be able to showcase them, and we are hoping to get them up in the community this spring.
Awesome. So just real quick, so if we have the banner and it's on the tree or the pole, are we outsourcing the print work for that, or are we doing that in house, or can we just say, hey, we have this thing coming up, and please make a banner and get it out so everybody knows where to go, what to do, when it starts, when it stops, and.
So Deputy Mayor, we have printed all of the banners for this round of banners. We do anticipate in the future having additional banners, and we certainly would welcome some input from the community on what would be great things to show on the banners in the future, as well as additional input from departments. We did receive some input from departments, but certainly as we continue to grow and develop this program, we want to learn more about what we could highlight out there in the community. And so we did work with a third-party printer to print the banners, and they will be hanging up on our street lights.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. I'm excited for people to come back together after we, had 2 years of stay in your home. And so I think that will help people understand what's going on, where it's happening, and how to, engage and be involved. More community involvement is the thought process there. At least it is for me. Next, we have Utilities Committee.
Thank you. Utilities Committee met December 5th. It was a 2-item agenda, and the first item pertained to what we just saw from Peter Brooks regarding the Bud Inlet Deschutes Watershed Coalition. I'm assuming that we have updated bylaws for this, Rick? I think that was the cusp of the...
This is actually, Councilmember Kunkel, this is actually a separate item from what Peter Brooks just discussed. He was just talking about the Brewery Wellfield. So the Bud Inlet Deschutes Watershed Coalition is an offshoot of an agreement that was made between.
Got it.
Yep,
Got it.
yep.
Okay.
And so the bylaws.
So we got the background of the coalition with the Squaxin Island tribe in the various cities. 2007 is when we had that coalition. There's a memorandum of understanding signed in 2011 to move forward with securing and preserving that area. We're supposed to be getting implementation of bylaws sometime early this year to be presented to the full council. Do we have a timeline on that, or?
Mr. Brooks and I met with our colleagues on this topic late last week, and so there's another round of discussions going on, trying to get the language right. So I would anticipate council will see something maybe in February.
Okay, great. The other item was the UCMR 5. That's the unregulated contaminant monitor rule issued to collect data for contaminants that are suspected to be in present drinking water and do not have any health-based standards set up under the Safe Drinking Water Act. So between 5 and 30 contaminants are selected for cycles of collecting samples. There's 12 different sampling locations present in the city's groundwater that they collect. 2 rounds of testing for each site, the total of 29 PFAS chemicals and lithium. And we have something scheduled for December 2023 and July 2024. Cost is estimated about $20,000 if there's no detections, and may cost more if detections are found at any of the sites. And that is it.
Awesome. Next, we have our Transportation Committee. That is mine. And Transportation Committee met on December 6th, and it was pretty much a one agenda item, and that agenda item is basically a vacation of a right-of-way that the city has near the Indian Summer area. So sometimes what happens is when plats are done and subdividing is done, there may be a small section of land that is still titled to the city that maybe we can or can't use. In most cases we can't use, or doesn't provide any future value. In this case, there is a 40-foot unnamed section over by Indian Summer, and what the city does, and just like any other vacation, is relinquishes its interest in that parcel. In this case, that parcel will be relinquished to the adjoining owners of said parcel. So we will release and vacate our interest in that parcel, and it will be absorbed by the residents' parcels who are adjoining to that parcel. So they will actually get a little extra land at basically no cost, because we cover the title costs. And so that was our one agenda item. We did invite the owners of the adjacent parcels to that meeting, and they didn't appear to have any objection to us vacating or releasing the parcels to them. Our city attorney was also at that meeting. Would you like to share anything on that?
I just add, again, this is another item where we have a meeting that is in the process of being scheduled with Aubrey, the city engineer, myself, and the property owners to kind of go over what this would look like. If it does go forward, it would come forward by way of resolution before council's consideration, before anything would happen.
So that was our one agenda item, which will later come before this council for review, and that is my report. Next on our agenda, we have boards, commissions, and committee reports. Mayor Ryder is typically up first. He is absent from this meeting, and his reports will come at a future date. I am next up, and I do not have a report. Councilmember Cox.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Regional Housing Council met on January 11th, and the largest topic of conversation was around a proposed low-income housing project in Olympia called Lansdale Point. Southport Financial out of Tacoma, which operates a complex here known as Crown Point, is doing this proposal. It would be 162 units, and the top amount of income that people could qualify for is 60% of the average median income or less. They turned to the Regional Housing Council, well, first to the County Commission, which punted and said, Regional Housing Council, you deal with this. They need to leverage 5% from local sources for this $53 million project. So that amounts to $2.6 million. And they have asked us for a letter of commitment by the end of March, and they need the loan money by the end of the year. There was a lot of concern and discussion. I think everybody was excited about the potential for bringing on 162 units of low-income housing, but the way that this was presented to the Housing Council actually would bypass our established funding for a process for funding projects like this. And so we agreed to delay the decision, do some research, and come back at next week's meeting and take the subject up again. They are up against some deadlines, at least that's the way they presented it. So we're trying to work with them, but it remains to be seen whether we can actually make that happen this year. Let's see, we also talked about the available affordable housing revenues. It looks like we'll have about $8.7 million to go through what we call it's a competitive process for these grants. And priorities this year will include funding for coordinated entry, homeless prevention, cold and hazardous weather, the point in time count, emergency funds, lived experience committee stipends and support, and diversity, equity, inclusion training. Our council is going to be receiving interlocal agreements updated for the Housing Council and for the 1406 accounts. It's mainly housekeeping, but every time there's a change, each of the partners in this has to go through that. For the Climate Action Steering Committee, we're going to be having a half-day retreat on Monday. We're going to be doing some reorganizing to formalize jurisdictional staff and citizen advisory committee involvement, and to try to become more productive. So this will be a Monday, all afternoon Monday. And then LOT did not meet in January, but their next meeting is February 8th. That's my report.
60% AMI housing would be a very welcome addition to this county.
It definitely would. And, I hope we can create a win-win here, but we already do have, process with what they call a pipeline of projects that it's sort of agreed to, several years out, that this one's going to go this year and this one's going to go this year. And so, the question is, do we compromise that process and do this at the expense of other projects? So hopefully we'll come through with some more money from the state and we can make it all happen, but
That would
We'll
be,
see.
That would be nice. Very welcome addition. Councilmember Greenstein.
Thank you. So Thurston County Medic 1 Emergency Medical Services met yesterday. Just a couple of things that I want to point out. Most of the meeting was spent discussing healthcare constraints. So, and I've talked about this over the last couple of years actually at this council, but there's a lot of issues going on between EMS, the hospitals, and then the aftercare facilities, the long-term care facilities and that. It was a really good presentation that I think council would benefit from. So I've asked for a copy of it, and I'll talk to Rick about getting it on the agenda for a work session, but I think it would be very helpful for everyone on this council to see the presentation. It's many, in fact, and I have to agree with them, I believe that we are probably in what you would consider at this point a healthcare crisis in this community. And not just this community, but most communities in Washington and in the nation for that matter. But certainly in this community, it's definitely at a crisis level. We've had issues with ambulances having to be at the hospital for as much as 9 hours to drop off a patient. And that obviously takes them out of service and creates all sorts of problems. So anyway, we'll get this on the agenda for a work session so everyone can hear more about it. I also had a meeting with the CEO of Providence, which I'll inform you on at that meeting as well, because some really good information out there and a lot of work being done to try to rectify these situations. Additionally, at that meeting, Kurt Harden, who has been the executive director for quite a long time, announced his retirement. March 15th will be his last day at the helm. So we will be working on a replacement for him here over the next couple of months. We did. We just got him back from public health, actually, yeah, where he was there temporarily for a while. That delayed his retirement. He actually had announced, when he made the announcement, said he actually planned on doing this last year, but he got postponed. So anyway, but he has announced March 15th will be his last day at the office there. And I think I'll leave it at that for now. The rest, like I said, I will get the agenda stuff together for a future meeting. Thank you.
Moving on, Councilmember Stedman is absent tonight, so we will be moving on to Councilmember Kunkel.
I have no report.
Councilmember Vasquez.
I have some reports. Couple of meetings, Orca met, and the highlights were that we continue to do some performance review for the new, he's not so new anymore, he's about a year into his executive directorship, but Jeff Johnston. We also passed the rules that we as a council have previously discussed with Chief Brooks and others related to removing the prohibition on recreational fires in Lacey, Tumwater, and Olympia, since we were the only 3 cities in Washington that had those prohibitions in place, and they didn't appear from a science perspective to be making much of a difference in terms of air quality. So Orca passed those rules officially at our last meeting to allow recreational fires that are small and safe and use adequate fuel. So they're not relaxing any of the standards related to burning inadequate fuels or nuisance fires or smoke. All of those expectations are still in place. We also talked a little bit about partnering with OLIMAP. So Orca is establishing an MOU with OLIMAP to work with the unsheltered communities and the unsheltered camps to kind of approach things from a harm reduction perspective and reduce the negative impacts of the survival burning that's happening in the camps. No report on the Intercity Transit Authority. We had our meeting canceled. We did meet for the Board of Health. Heard that Kurt was retiring also at that meeting. But we were introduced to the new head of the Board of Health, David Bain. So he joins us. Previously, he worked for the State Department of Health as their Strategic Partnerships Deputy Director, I think. So he's got a lot of experience in public health, and that is welcome news that he's coming on board. We also took some time ranking priorities for some of the limited funding that the Board of Health has received this year and identified priorities if additional funding becomes available, stuff like lap salaries as they're doing their budget administration at the end of the year. We prioritized maternal child health. They needed an administrative position to support some of the work related to data gathering for maternal and child health in the county. And we also allocated funding for translation services. So we know from the profile that I'll talk about in a minute from TRPC that the languages that are most often spoken in Thurston County besides English are Spanish and Vietnamese. So the Public Health Department issues a lot of publications, we have a lot of documents on websites, and so we're allocating funding to make sure that those get translated into other languages so that communities can access important information. We actually put a little bit more money into that bucket so that we can also do some translations into Korean, which is the third most frequently spoken language after English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. So we got a lot of stuff done at that meeting. That was great. At the TRPC meeting, we met last Friday, and a couple of highlights. We supported the letter that I sent out to this council previously about the airport citation, or the airport citing, the Greenfield Airport decision by the CAC. So finally passed that and issued that expressing our concerns. We also reviewed the TRPC profile, which for those of you listening at home is a series of data, demographics, information about who lives in Thurston County, everything from income to, school populations to city populations to disabilities to people from who speak different languages. A lot of things that you might want to know about what's going on in Thurston County. So I encourage folks to check out the TRPC profile if you have questions about what's going on in Thurston County. And last item on my agenda, the PIC count is happening. Carolyn mentioned it, but the point-in-time count for unsheltered individuals is happening on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of January, and I'm going to go volunteer.
Awesome.
Could this point of personal privilege, I thank Rick Welk and staff for getting together the drive for warm clothing and all materials that are going to be handed out during the point-in-time count. So if you all have anything that you would like to contribute to that, I would encourage you to do that. And any Lacey residents who are listening, they can bring them here to City Hall, and they will be gratefully accepted. Thanks.
Do you have a date or a timeline, a deadline for contributions?
I think, Rick, you got it.
Yes, we'll have a bin in the lobby of the Lacey Police Department, and people can drop off clothing, and it'll be available till February 1st. What's that?
Is it there now?
It's there now?
It's there now, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I try not to rush through our agenda just in case, someone has something that they want to bring up. As we go through agenda items, it's always get to the next one, get to the next one. But I try to make sure that I don't get there too fast so that we don't miss anybody who might have something to say about an item. Councilmember Vasquez.
I was just going to ask if you wanted to mention briefly what you were able to participate in on Monday. There was an excellent event on Monday. Two, actually.
Oh, okay. Real briefly, the first event was that morning at the park on Pacific, and there was a day of work and service, day of service. I saw Councilmember Vasquez there, and I saw Assistant City Manager Shannon Kelly Fong there. And then I went on to New Life Baptist Church, and it was just kind of a short, quick speaking engagement. There were several public officials there, Commissioner Menzer, Commissioner Mejia, Councilmember Gilman from the City of Olympia, Congresswoman Strickland. Several people came, and we had a really great event at that church, and I just went there to represent the city of Lacey and deliver some words to that group. It was a good day, and I was really happy to do it. Yeah. So with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. It is currently 8 o'clock, and if nobody has anything further, I would like to say thank you all for being here, and thank you for all your hard work and contribution. And to the City of Lacey, you keep it classy, and I will call this meeting adjourned.